Joining us is Madeline Thigpen from Capital B Atlanta. Madeline, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we wanted to bring you in studio to talk about this sit-down, one-on-one, two-part interview that you got with DA Fani Willis. Can you talk to us about, my first question is, a lot of journalists have been trying to sit down to talk to DA Willis.
Yeah.
What do you think was that peg that had her agree to sit down with you?
Yeah, so, I've been covering the situation at Fulton County Jail for quite a bit of time, and recently noticed that the number of unindicted people had risen pretty dramatically from June to July. It was like nearly 400 people. And so I reached out to the DA's office. As I'm sure you know, her office is responsible for indicting the cases. And I asked her, what she thought might be the cause. I had previously reported on a letter that she wrote to the county commissioners saying, basically, I need more funding, and if I don't get it, the jail population is going to rise. So I led with that, and her office was very receptive and willing to sit down with me to have, a fuller conversation, because at first I was just expecting like a statement or something like that, but I was excited to be able to actually sit down with her and hear her full perspective.
Through the interview, was there anything that was surprising to you or unexpected?
I mean, her candor about the commissioners was very surprising to me. She point blank said that, they were lying about not being able to give her office more money, naming certain commissioners, specifically Commissioner Pitts, Ellis, Thorne, and Abdurrahman. So that was definitely a big surprise to me. But as a journalist, I always appreciate that frankness from politicians, because you don't always get that in an interview. But yeah.
And that was an interesting part of the article when she was talking about, the issues that people had brought to her, saying, why is it so slow? What's the holdup? And her answer is, hey, I need more staff. I need more dollars. Did she present any solutions to you as to how that could be done? Or was it more of just a call to action, like, they're not giving me what I need?
It was definitely more of a call to action. I will say, so when she was elected in 2020, Fulton County had all of this COVID money, and a lot of that went to the justice system through a program called Project Orca. So her office had basically, once that money ran out at the end of 2024, they had to let go of 74 employees. Quite a few of those were in the case intake division, and so she said that has had a major impact on her office's ability to indict cases in a timely manner. But again, that money was coming from the federal government. It wasn't Fulton County money. And if you have been watching the recent commissioners meetings, they have decided not to raise the taxes this year. So without a tax raise, it is unclear where that money would be coming from.
Madeline, I want to ask you about another high-profile case, probably her highest-profile case that the entire nation was watching, and that was the indictment of President Donald Trump. I noticed in the article she didn't go into too much detail about it. Can you tell us what she said?
So yeah, she did not go into a lot of detail about it. I will say I did not, I wasn't asking a lot about the case specifics, more about just what I had been hearing from sources in the community about, just the fact that case had taken so much time, so many resources, and, has been put on pause basically until 2029 at the earliest. And so all she really said was that the case is with the Supreme Court now. She has appealed the decision to have herself recused from the case, so the Georgia Supreme Court will have to make that decision. But yeah, we did not go into any further detail about that.
And that's interesting too, because people saw that. She was put on this pedestal, national attention with this case, so much work put into it, along with the YSL RICO trial, which I'll get to in a minute. But some people look at it and they say, well, it looks like you failed here. But she pushed back on that. Yeah,
she definitely pushed back, and the case was never fully adjudicated, so I don't know that we can say it was a failure or a success yet. We kind of have to wait, but at the same time, I do understand the frustrations of people who, are victims of crimes or who are accused of crimes, who are saying, I need to get my case moving, like, I have a right to have, a trial in a certain amount of time, and that cannot happen until the case is indicted. Yeah.
Let's move on to the YSL RICO case, which was another high-profile case for DA Willis. We also saw that case end in what some would say as a failure for DA
Yeah.
Willis, but she sees that differently.
Yeah.
Can you go into a little bit of detail about what she told you?
Yeah, so, I brought up the fact that, there were no murder convictions in that case. And so what she did say was that while there weren't any murder convictions, there were convictions for things like aggravated assault and guilty pleas for things like aggravated assault that do carry, long sentences. And so she was very proud of the fact that Young Thug specifically had pled guilty to his charges and that they had gotten a number of guilty pleas in that case. And so what she said is that she's hearing from the community that they feel safer, so she feels like she has done her job effectively.
So let's talk about Atchison and her decision not to appeal that.
Yeah, so obviously that was not like the main focus of that article, but I have built a relationship with Jimmy Hill, Jimmy Atchison's father, and he has been continually pressuring the DA's office, protesting, just trying to get his son's name out there, information about this case out there, and he was really hoping that this case would be appealed. If your followers don't know, the Judge Michael Brown decided to throw out the charges, saying basically that the officer acted in self-defense. And DA Willis has decided that that will be the end of the case, and she will not be moving forward with an appeal. She didn't really give any further information about that decision. But I will say I've spoken with Mr. Hill since then, and he has said that he will continue to protest, no matter what. So I think, it's something that to follow moving forward, and also to pay attention to just in general how police accountability is handled by the Fulton County DA's office.
On your reporting outside of the interview, what is the take from those that you were hearing when you were just out there asking about if it's Mr. Atchison's story, the Trump case? What is the consensus of people in Atlanta towards DA Willis from your reporting?
Yeah, I would say, generally it's a mixed bag. I would say, a lot of, justice impacted people that I'm speaking with, criminal justice advocates, even defense attorneys, would like to see her office lean more into working through the sort of lower level offenses just more quickly.
So people aren't just sitting.
Yeah,
waiting
so
for their
people
court
aren't just
date.
sitting in jail. Especially because for a lot of those lower level felonies, the people that are sitting in jail are just because they cannot afford bail. And so it's very much a system of haves and have-nots in that situation. And so prioritizing the people who are incarcerated is definitely something that I've heard a lot from criminal justice advocates who would just like to see the jail population, severely reduced. We have all seen that 97-page report from the DOJ. We know what a dangerous facility it is. So they just really would like to see her office prioritize getting that number down.
And the amount of people that have passed away in the facility.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, we do this stories far too often.
Yeah.
Any other takeaways from this interview, or any other unanswered questions that you still have for her? As reporters, we have tons of questions.
Yeah, I have so many questions. I definitely would like to know, where she would like to see that $7 million she's asking for her office to come from. But I would say a surprise was when I asked her about her personal safety. Since the high-profile cases of YSL and President Trump, she's had a number of threats on her life. There was that anthrax scare at her office, and she mentioned that she hadn't lived in her house
Her home.
since 4 months after she took office.
And still paying for it.
Exactly, and still paying the mortgage. So I can't imagine what that's like, to have to go through your day-to-day life but not be able to live in the home that you paid for. And I think we all have our opinions on elected officials, but it's not an easy job to be the elected prosecutor in the largest county in any state. So I think we have to, just keep that in mind, that this is a big task.
It's a big task that she has signed up for
She
now
has
again.
exactly signed up for.
Recently re-elected into the position. So Madeline,
Yes.
thank you so much for sitting down with us. We truly appreciate it. For those of you who have not read Madeline's article yet, you can find it at capitalbatlanta.org.